What's going on, everyone, and welcome to week number 6 of Odyssey 2024, Season 2, where we have a Clash of the Titans for our featured matchup of the week, and that is going to be the number 2 Washed Up Warriors against the first-placed Inferno Wolves. 7-3, 8-2 are the records, respectively, on the broadcast. My name is Ferris. I'm here to show the world. I'm with, once again, the fantastic Claire, and we are going to be breaking down this matchup between these two games they will get. And there are some implications about the top of the standings, but not so much about playoffs because both of these teams are already locked and loaded when it comes to that.
Yes, they are, but this does give us a better view about how playoffs might play out, right? We do have these top two teams. Will they be seated against each other? Probably not, as they're both, just have quite a bit of a lead against the remaining teams and, down there through those like third to like sixth, seventh place positions. So, I mean, I'm just excited to like hop into this one, see what we might expect to see in playoffs, see if how drafts could change, and just, see how these two top teams think about the game.
Every team meets up at least once in this season, but we can, based on the way that these teams have performed, assume that they'll meet up again. And you said it yourself, Clay. They might not meet up in the first round of the playoffs, but expecting them to move on and make deep runs with the way that they've performed in the regular season so far, this is exactly what you were talking about. A preview of what could be to come. This is only 2 games between them, but this could potentially be a whole best of 5 in the grand final, best of 3 in the playoffs, depending on how things shake out for Inferno Wolves. If they do 2-0 today, get 2 wins in the win column, they're good for first place. I don't think anyone can catch up to them. If it's a split, a 1-1, I do believe that it stays the same, and Washed Up Warriors would still be in second place. If Washed Up Warriors end up taking 2 wins here in these 2 games, then they would actually promote into the first place. So again, top of the ladder. Again, these teams aren't in any sort of jeopardy of not making playoffs, but what we hope to see in this one is clash of some very talented teams with some pretty good players on their side as well.
Before we can see that, I mean, we got to get into this draft. We got to see what these teams are thinking and what these bands come out. And Inferno Wolves, just looking at those bands, I mean, Victor is kind of crazy. I don't think Victor's been super strong in the mid lane presence. And then the Volibear and the Yorick there, just like maybe targeting some jungle bands, targeting some top lane bands. Washed Up Warriors, on the other hand, banning the Aurora makes a lot of sense as she's incredibly strong at the moment. Amumu and then Aatrox. So really a more balanced bands across the board. Just not wanting to maybe give some like really OTP characters for the Inferno Wolves, but still just covering their bases.
And speaking of these players, we do have Guilty Free Soul for the side of Inferno Wolves, who's first in kills across the whole league with 85, and first in average kills as well with 7 a game. And Spoobert for Washed Up Warriors, third in kills with 75, and Sinja as well for Inferno Wolves in the mid lane, 67% kill participation for his team. So maybe something that can impact the map for the Inferno Wolves for that player as we see the first couple of picks roll through. It's going to be Ziggs, flex pick here for Washed Up Warriors, Sejuani to pair that with. The Syndra here is going to go into the hands of Sinja. We already know the Ashe for RJ2. With the Skarner lock-in, something that's very powerful on 1421. I like the Syndra pick for Sinja. I've seen this guy play this champion many times. Pretty proficient on it. Has some roam potential as well. I just mentioned the kill participation factor here for this player. So being able to get involved on the map for the Inferno Wolves is definitely going to be an asset for them in this matchup.
Yeah, but I mean, looking back at this mid lane matchup, it's gonna be the Syndra versus the Yone, and like that's like totally the first matchup that we see besides jungle, but that doesn't really is not super impactful because they're just not always going to be going against each other. But I mean, we've seen Syndra on a lot of champs that he's still super comfortable with, and Yone is definitely one of them. So to go up against Arctics is on the Syndra is going to be extremely exciting. And what I'm really intrigued about is this Ashe, right? Because like Ashe in the bottom lane, it's hard to play because you're not incredibly strong. You don't have the movement abilities to get in and out of fights. Your positioning needs to be perfect, but you can absolutely set up a lot of plays for your team. And I'm intrigued to see which characters, you can set up, because I don't normally think of Syndra as a character you're setting up with on Ashe.
And Ajuka is going to play the Taric here. This is a very interesting pick. You don't see Taric very often, not in solo queue, not in competitive. Is pretty difficult to actually pull off because your ultimate is hard to time. There's a good amount of burst here we're talking about, at least with the Syndra. You want to be able to block all that burst damage from the unleashed power, but you have to time it up properly. So this puts a little bit of pressure on Ajuka, but I'm excited to see if this Taric pick can get some value into the Infernal Wolves. And both teams, you mentioned the Ashe, Claire, they want to engage. They have Sejuani does the washed up warriors with Glacial Prison to start fights off. Even the Fate Sealed from the Yone going to be Sinja. Sinja actually piloting that one. Did I get this mixed up? I think I mixed up the teams in my notes, so I'm a little bit disgruntled here, but I'll get back to that. Anyways, both of these teams, they want to be fighting. Look at the Seraphine as well, Encore. Claire, there's so many tools for these teams to get busy in the team fight. So I expect to see a lot of priority around especially neutral objectives where these 5 versus 5 fights typically start to take off.
Yeah, but we're just kicking this off straight away as we hopefully find the rift here soon, and here it is. And I mean, I'm just incredibly excited. This bot lane matchup is going to be extremely interesting, right? Because Guilty Free Soul can outrange if you are jealous, and Ajuka. But like, I mean, it's still like a lot more poke for the Infernal Wolves side. And this Taric, I'm just kind of intrigued. Like, what is this Taric gonna set up? Because it's kind of hard to set up the Ziggs, because the Ziggs just kind of wants to sit back and farm and just throw the bombs and not really do too much. Just maybe poke down and see if you can do anything off of that. But this Taric is much more likely to engage, so it's a little bit of maybe a mixed composition style. But I'm very excited. But I'm not entirely sure if you're seeing this, but it is going to be that Udyr top lane, and I'm extremely excited to see how this plans out.
And we're going to see top lane. They're trading already. Right from the get-go, Spoober and Juggernaut. This is the top lane experience here in Odyssey, and the trade actually goes in favor of Spoober here. So recall for Juggernaut here, and the minions are coming towards the lane. Maybe Spoober gets a cancel. The Phoenix Dance isn't quite going to be so lucky. Is the teleport going to be expended for the Mordekaiser? Is the question. Getting that health available, it doesn't look like it, so it should be early prio for the Udyr in the lane. And let's talk about a couple minutes into the future around these grubs. It is the Ziggs for Guilty Free Soul, like you were talking about, Claire. And Ziggs loves to take down those towers, and with the grubs, makes that much easier of a time. So can washed up warriors find the advantages they need around that objective to secure that powerful buff for themselves, which tailors very nicely to their champions, is something I want to pay attention to in the next couple of minutes as well.
Yeah, no, I am too. And obviously backing off the idea of you talking about just how Ziggs loves to be on that side lane, how to take down those towers. I mean, and we see it, right? Ziggs does have that TP. I mean, Spoobert's still wanting to trade, and like a lot of great trades early into this laning phase for Spoobert. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be that Udyr that needs to challenge that Ziggs on the side lane. I don't think anyone else really wants to.
This could get dangerous. Juggernaut has found a good trade here onto Spoober, who doesn't have flash. And so Juggernaut, with that advantage, utilizes that for the solo kill to open it up here for Washed Up Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, that's extremely good, not only for this laning phase for Juggernaut, but also for just the later laning phase, right? Because, I mean, Washed Up Warriors has so many great people that they can put onto the side lane. I mean, 3 of them have TP, so they can make some really interesting plays, depending on how they call it. But, I mean, at the same time, that could also be a little bit too much. It could be nice to have somebody that has heal, or, like, has an ignite. Just to take someone down, especially in that early laning phase. And maybe Artrix is going to be upset that he doesn't have that. But Phaser and
Bacon is so close to dying. You saw him moving up. They both flash at the same time over the wall. Quite the comedic exchange there. But Phaser successfully defends the jungle for Washed Up Warriors, who start the game off 2-0.
I mean, that's extremely large for them. That is exactly what they wanted to see, and you know that Udyr is maybe trying to chase down Phaser, but I think you're just stuck between two towers up there in the top lane, and it's Guilty Free Soul and Sprite are just exchanging some blows, exchanging some minion kills. Ajuka maybe trying to get a little bit more active, and does successfully land a root, and you know gets a big chunk of HP down. But I mean, still look at this Udyr causing some massive problems, trying to just push.
Has to be careful. Phaser is trying to prevent this proxy from coming through. Is going to be successful. There's the permafrost. Remember, Spoober has no flash. This guy's just going to either accept death or accept that he's going to be able to kill the Sejuani, and the latter is not going to come to fruition. That's another kill for Phaser. Very strong on the lady on the boar. And so Spoober kind of struggling to get the ball rolling here. Kind of all over the place with what he wants to do. Tries to fight Juggernaut up there. That doesn't really work out. Tries to get the proxy off. Phaser stops that in his tracks. So has to kind of regain in this early game because things aren't going too well. And we've almost seen a 1k gold lead amassed from the side of the Washed Up Warriors. So the number 2 seed for the moment are the ones that are taking control of the game. Let's pay attention to Ajuka here. The dazzle was so good from Sprite, and the follow-up with the satchel was insanely good from Guilty Free Soul as well. The kill goes to the Taric. A nice sidestep from RJ to get out of this situation, but they are able to punch back after RJ and Ajuka had control for the majority of that lane phase.
Yeah, I mean, and Spoober's playing extremely aggressive, and that is just not been working so far, and still, I mean, more chunk of HP. Yeah, that Udyr has some pretty good healing, but, like, I don't think it's going to be enough. Juggernaut has just been gifted a lot of these kills, and, I mean, graciously. Too as well, but we haven't seen too much from the mid lane as we've been focusing on the, you know, everything else. But I mean, it seems to be pretty even. Syndra maybe having a little bit easier of an early game as Yone hasn't had that E up entirely, but it should get a little bit easier as, you know, time progresses. And it's just not an even state as Washed Up Warriors are absolutely, you know, dominating this early game, but even more so in mid.
Yeah, and it's archery though. Well, actually, down 10 CS might be able to collect this cannon wave here. The closer Yone is to the Syndra in farm within the lane phase, the better implications it is for Washed Up Warriors in the late game, because it is supposed to be the Syndra that has to punish this Yone early on, especially with how strong Yone is, even after the nerfs, quite good within the mid lane meta. And if the Syndra isn't able to punish, then Yone has free scaling into the late game and can become a very big menace when it comes to the side lanes as well. Yone much prefers those side lanes over the Syndra, who has a harder time with Scatter the Weak being the only peel option available, as Syndra uses it to his advantage quite nicely there to push back Phaser in the mid lane attempt there with Sprite in tandem, as now level 6 for Juggernaut. Into the Death Realm goes Spoober. Is pretty tanky though, so it shouldn't actually be a kill. It actually just dissolves really into not a whole lot. So Spoober getting that pretty important cooldown here in the lane.
Yeah, I mean, already building some of those magic resist items, so Juggernaut going to be dealing a little bit less to Spoober, but I am intrigued to see how this Udyr builds and actually starting to fight back. He knows Juggernaut does not have that ultimate, so, you know, just allows to feel comfortable being so close. And we are seeing some more fights. If you're jealous is kind of low. Some poke could come through. The Ziggs is going to get this level 6 power spike here soon. I'm not entirely sure if it's this wave or the next, but something to watch out for.
It's close between Spoobert and Juggernaut. They're going at it once again, and they leave each other alone there with 1 HP every single time, or maybe 100 HP as Sprite misses out on the Dazzle, drops the Ignite onto RJ. They're getting really crazy in the bot side. The flash is not timed from RJ. The Mega Inferno Bomb still landed, but not enough damage to finish off the Ashe. Nonetheless, RJ has to go back home. Look at Juggernaut's HP and look at where the Skarner is right now. Bacon is primed and ready to go. Juggernaut just gets the shield off in time. Gonna get a little bit of healing back, but this should just be a clean dive. There's not a lot of HP on the Udyr to work with, but they're gonna make it happen right here. Looks like the flash is burned from Juggernaut. We can see it in the right side of our screen, and will actually be able to escape with his life. But what is going to happen here? Guilty Free Soul takes a tower shot, and oh, that's actually Phaser wrapping around, so no danger here for the Washed Up Warriors bot lane.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, like, because it seems they wanted to do a dive there, but it just seems that they never got the wave timing correctly, and Phaser just opted in grabbing the bot side jungle.
Oh my gosh, Scatter the Weak, Sinja! Solo kill onto Archery out of nowhere. That's big for the Syndra. While they're getting the grubs too. And look at top lane. Spoobert's under tower. Nice pull from Juggernaut. Things are crazy in both solo lanes.
Big things are happening here. And Inferno Wolves, unfortunately, you know, Spoober having a rough time so far going down. But, you know, only down 3 deaths. It's really not that big of a deal. We're just going to scale just fine, hopefully, into the late game. But, you know, dying again. Sinjev getting a pretty massive kill on this Syndra, so that's exactly what they need to see. And it's quite having a pretty good time against this Yone. So it's not too... I mean, this mid lane is looking pretty good, but, you know, the other lanes are going to be looking pretty rough. And I am a bit concerned that this Syndra is not going to be able to, you know, have too much of an impact on this Mordekaiser or on this Taric. So, I mean, it's just something that they need to figure out is how you're going to deal with these tanky members.
Dazzle will land. Encore runs through both Sprite and Phaser, but it doesn't do much to stop them here. Beat drop lands. Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes wide. There is the Glacial Prison, and the bomb from over the wall from Guilty to pick that one up. He says, thank you very much. And the pick onto Ajuka is good here for Washed Up Warriors. Killed number 6 for them, and they want to continue the play here onto RJ. They have Cosmic Radiance available, so the dive potential from the Washed Up Warriors bot jungle trio here is very strong, and you can see it from RJ. The respect is being given, and unfortunately, Bacon's in the area to prevent that from actually happening as Archery. You got to be careful. There's the Unleashed Power. No execute here. The Scout of the Week lands, and Sinja, once again, second solo kill of the game, being sort of this beacon of hope here for Infernal Wolves.
Yeah, that mid lane is looking pretty good there for the Syndra. Already having that Lunan's Companion, so going to be doing a bunch of damage onto this Yone and hopefully being able to influence these other lanes. If not, you know, just still scaling pretty well into this late game. But, I mean, these other lanes, though, for Washed Up Warriors are absolutely looking fantastic, especially up there in the top lane. Mordekaiser with a 2-kill lead, about, you know, 9-ish CS. Still fluctuating a little bit at a time, but maybe, like, besides the kills Guilty, Free Soul, and Sprite have in the bot lane, I mean, it's extremely close, right? I mean, they do have a little bit more plates, some gold coming through. They've had more pressure, so the Dragon's been able to go down. Spoobird is trying to farm the...
Spoobird might just get put into the death zone here. Juggernaut has it. He's going to use it. There it is. So Spoobert, you can try and run as quick as you can, but there's no speed that can take you out of the doom that you have found yourself in. Juggernaut once again finds himself a kill. 3-0 on the Mordekaiser. And Spoobert again, Claire, just gets caught out here trying to take what he's really not allowed to get. It was the proxying before. Now it's the Krugs. Having a hard time into the Mordekaiser.
You know, we've seen like the Inting Scion strategy. I'm not entirely sure about the Inting Udyr strategy yet. But I mean, would love to be surprised, right? I'd love to see this happen. I'm just intrigued as how they're going to come back. I mean, that's a great... Sinja's absolutely having a field day in this mid lane. I don't know if the kill's going to be able to go through. Phaser's here.
Glacial Prison goes wide. So Sinja should be able to just walk this one out. There's the Permafrost trying to build up those stacks on the Q ability. Here is Archery, but here's Bacon to turn this one right around. Unleashed Power is going to follow the flash from the Yone and take him down 3-0 now for Sinja. Bacon realizes, hey, this is the lane that's going well for us. So I'm playing around it, plays around it quite nicely, has found Guilty, Free Soul. But Sinja here, 3-0 on the Syndra. You mentioned, though, Claire, is it going to be enough if the rest of the map for the side of Infernal Wolves stays behind like this? Can Syndra actually find enough here to kind of solo carry this game? Because as a burst champion, it's a little bit difficult to do that, especially into the Sejuani and Mordekaiser, like you mentioned too.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough, and you can see that just like this Sinja's going back mid lane. The Dragon just came up, and I would expect Washed Up Warriors with their big bot advantage to be immediately on that. We're just seeing some trades in here in the top lane. I don't think anything's gonna happen. Spoopert might be a little bit too tanky at the moment. Would definitely need to be whittled down a little bit further. But yeah, I mean, Sinja's trying to do stuff, but you can't really have too big of an effect on this dragon fight, and that's gonna be so rough.
Oh, you can't use the Fate Sealed through the drive here from Bacon. But the Q through will bring him to safety. Juggernaut wants the kill onto Sinja. The pull through won't be enough. Sprite actually is gonna flash and miss the dazzle here. Fancy feet, or maybe some just flat out missed abilities here from the side of Washed Up Warriors. But at the very least, they can secure themselves the Infernal Drake. They have 2 in their pocket now, as the second trio of grubs is available. But with both junglers on the bot side of the map, could be somewhere where we actually see some fighting break out between these teams rather than just skirmishing or random picks that we find as Ajuka has to burn the flash to get away from the Glacial Prison, but Guilty Free Soul will flash forward to pull him in with the satchel. Really nice stuff. Cosmic Radiance used. I think there's a bit of overkill here from Sprite, but nonetheless, they found their prize in the Seraphine.
Just keeping the team alive, keeping the vibes good, keeping the movement ready. And that's exactly what happens. We might see a tower dive here between the towers.
Bacon goes in. This is 3 versus 2. Sinja has teleport and is going to use it here to get involved in this play. This could be the turnaround for Infernal Wolves that they needed. RJ stunned up, but there is no follow-up here. Scatter the Weak from Sinja is good to grab up that kill for themselves. It's going to go onto the Ash, and now Guilty Free Soul and Phaser on the wrong side of the map right now, but the TP could be the turning tide here. The satchel so good from Guilty to stop the escape there from Bacon. Archery made his way from the mid lane, gonna force out Ajuka. Not enough damage to find the kill though. Juggernaut as well utilized the teleport to escort everyone out of there, and what could have been disastrous for Infernal Wolves ends up just being a 2-for-1.
Yeah, I mean, great control ward placement. I have no idea whose that was, if it was Sprites or I think it was Guilty Free Souls. But, I mean, it absolutely helped them turn that fight, helped them get out of a pretty sticky situation, and extremely valuable. And now they're getting this mid-turret presence, and they're going to have such a, like, great time rotating throughout the map. You can see Udyr up top lane. I don't know if that turret's going to go down. They do have 3 grubs, so that damage is going to be, you know, a lot better, and just that Mordekaiser is still not up there. You can see Juggernaut backing now, but I mean, it's just gonna be too little too late. That tower should go down, and hopefully this Udyr should just be able to free farm for a little bit, get that item online, and become like tanky enough to peel for Syndra and peel for If You Are Jealous. So maybe some turnarounds can happen. It's only about a 1.3k gold lead. Turrets are even. They don't have as many dragons, but like I mean, they also do have another neutral objective. So they have the only grubs that have been killed. So I mean, their split push is going to be quite a bit better, and it's not like this Yone super fed to deal with these tanks. So it's not in the worst spot that it's been in all game, at least.
Now, Sinja normally would struggle in this side lane, like I was mentioning earlier on in the lane phase when it didn't look like Archery was going to be too far behind. But now with the 50 CS lead, 3 kills, the Syndra is loving this side lane. And it would be wise if Bacon, like he is now, to hover the Syndra and make sure that Washed Up Warriors later on do not try and exploit the fact that she is immobile, as that's going to be it there for you, Archery. That's the damage of a fed Syndra, as RJ is going to find the damage of a fed Ziggs as well. The mages from both teams in this game just absolutely running their respective matchups.
You know, but Syndra actually leading in the gold lead by 100 over Juggernaut, which is absolutely massive. Should I don't know if you're gonna get the turret with this wave, but the next one it should go down. But you got to worry about Juggernaut, and you got to get out of here.
Can he get out from Juggernaut? But here's the TPs to cover the play. Spoobert's going to save the day. The counterplay from the side of Washed Up Warriors, though, is going to be this tier 2, and they are very happy about this. A huge influx in gold for them. Also a TP expended by Spoobert to save this play, so they are hugely winning on the map right now. They're trying to turn it onto the Mordekaiser, who has Death Realm available to pull himself out of this situation. It might just use it onto Sinja here. This would be a huge shutdown and a huge swing in momentum. Remember, no Unleashed Power because it was used earlier on Archery, and there's going to be the solo kill for Juggernaut. This is the play for the Washed Up Warriors that might just put the Infernal Wolves to bed. Their last beacon of hope has been put out, and as well as Spoobert, and this is huge now for WUW.
Yeah, this game is looking a little bit rough here. I would expect to see, they used so much to keep Sinja alive there. The TP from Spoobert, I mean, you saw a bunch rotating, and just they didn't really get anything out of that play, unfortunately. And just now the map is being opened by the Ziggs, I would expect to see, them just hang around those side lanes, and these turrets are just dropping so extremely fast with all of their, turret damaging abilities and neutral objective gathering, that this is going to be an extremely hard game for Infernal Wolves to come back from, needing some neutral fight, objective flips, wins, something to come through here, but it's looking rough. It's looking rough.
It's looking nigh, well, maybe not nigh impossible, but now with all of that gold, if we break down everything that happened in that play, it's the shutdown onto pretty much the only strong member here from Infernal Wolves. It's so many towers. the value they got from the Rift Herald. They move on to the Drake. They get Soul Point. They knock down the tier 1 in the top side too. Gold onto Archery, who desperately needs that. We're now seeing the 1 versus 1 between the two players who had the rougher time in their respective solo lanes. And Archery, with that Blade of the Rune King, just rips right through the armorless build of Spoober. Only the Spirit Visage, even the Swifty Boots as well, cannot really contend against the Yone. So honestly, this might just be the favorable lane assignment here for Washed Up Warriors in their transition into this mid game, where they're primed to end the game sort of by this like 20-minute area between the 20 to 30-minute mark. But let's see a potential response now as caught out. Great Fate sealed to cover a huge distance. Now the teleport flank. This is Juggernaut going to join the play. Misses on the pull on Spoober. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow will stun him up. Sinja is here. No scatter utilized. Now it is, but Sinja is in an unfortunate spot here. Has flash to try and get out. Is going to utilize it. The Glacial Prison goes wide, but look at the Mega Inferno Bomb. Hits the maximum damage there onto the Syndra. They're piling everything they can, and they will finally be successful in finding their prize. What else can they get? Spoobert is next on the menu, and they will feast on him. And Bacon could be next. This would certainly mean, oh, I was going to say the Baron, but the Baron isn't quite alive yet. Very soon, though. Maybe if this happened 20 seconds sooner, it would have been better.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, Infernal Wolves, trying to make a move on that top lane, trying to make a move on this, weaker Yone. But they tried, they failed. The rotations were a little bit too fast. 3 members have TP, so, it's kind of hard to, find those angles, right? Especially when they're this far ahead. They have the sustain to keep themselves alive, and this Baron is going to come through, and I don't think it can be flipped. Bacon is dead for at least 4 more seconds. They do it a little bit. They don't do it super fast as they have so many mages and the Yone is just not on it, but it's going to go down. This is another objective bounty off the map for them, and they're going to get more just push power, so it's going to be brutal. And this is only 20 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. This next Drake is up in 2 minutes and 52 seconds, so they're still going to have that Baron power to set up for this Drake, and it's going to be rough. I don't see a world where Infernal Wolves, comes back into this game unless some massive team fights happen. They have the Seraphine ult to do it. They can make something happen, but it's going to be brutal.
I worry about the damage for Infernal Wolves, especially if that Ocean Soul goes into Washed Up Warriors' hands. All that extra healing makes the burst value from Sinja and even the DPS here, the limited DPS that RJ has with the lack of attack speed in the build, going straight for the AD steroid build. I'm not sure I agree with this one, but that just proves my point even further. The fact that the healing and the lack of healing reduction here already from Infernal Wolves would be impossible to deal with when the Ocean Soul is in the hands of them. And so you said it, Baron is alive. What can they get from this? I think they should be as aggressive as they possibly can here. Farming away at the jungle, they might just be taking it easy, though, and playing for that soul, which, to be honest, I can't necessarily blame them for doing that, as that kind of seals the deal here as to what I was mentioning earlier. But maybe even just a base cracked would also be a big win here for Washed Up Warriors. Get some more presence on the map with an inhibitor down, super minions to deal with from Infernal Wolves. But I do believe that in that time when the Ocean Drake does spawn, it's going to be do or die here for Infernal Wolves.
Yeah, and maybe you see Juggernaut in this side lane, and you're not going to do a lot of damage to Spoobert, especially as a mage. You can take the fight, but I don't think you're necessarily going to find anything here, as the turret is so close. But I mean, the pushing power is trying to come through, trying to stack those waves up, trying to crack this base. And I think they should be trying to focus on this top lane, as it still does have just a lane turret in it. But it's, kind of hard. They need to push out this wave. They need to make sure no one's in jungle. And Ziggs ideally would be the one to do it, but that's kind of the squishiest member on the team. So you don't want to send them up all by themselves, especially if Infernal Wolves is looking just to dive on somebody. That's who they want to target. And they are just cracking open this inhibitor turret now, just letting the minions do the work, maybe trying to get some poke in with that Ziggs, trying to get it down to like that, whatever, that 30% HP, so they can, just throw the satchel on it, but not going to happen quite yet. They still have a little bit of time to do it.
Puts Spoobert into the Death Realm and is now hovered by a lot of people here. Should be able to grab this kill, and Bacon's just going to push him back into the tower, but the flash will get him away from the Encore. Now the rest of the Washed Up Warriors are here to help their team out. Cosmic Radiance is just it's overkill at this point. They never really needed it. They've been so far ahead the whole time
End
on the
the
tail
game.
end of their Baron. I thought they weren't going to get a lot of value from this Claire because it was running out. But that play from Juggernaut might have just sealed the deal here on the game. It's only RJ. It's only Sinja. Washed Up Warriors, remember, if they get 2 wins here, they will usurp the Infernal Wolves for the #1 spot. That is what they're playing for, that possibility here in game #1 as RJ has to flash away from the might of the Washed Up Warriors team. The Nexus is exposed. They only have 1 goal left in mind. Maybe Sinja has a detour before they drop the Nexus. As one of them falls, they actually might not even be able to end this one. It's going to get really close. They're actually killing everyone here. TP is going to come through as well from archery. I don't think this guy's going to be able to get to the Nexus in time. There's just too much damage here from Infernal Wolves. They wasted too much time. This could have been the throw. This might have been the throw here for Washed Up Warriors. And they might be kicking themselves depending on what happens in the next couple minutes.
It's an open Nexus. I mean, they're on Soul Point. There is no wards, at least, in the base, which is good for Inferno Wolves. But, I mean, they still have a lot to worry about. You can see Inferno Wolves now just hopping on this dragon, maybe getting something back. There's an objective bounty on it. So, I mean, they got some life. It wasn't a team wipe, but it was quite a bit. And it does allow them to get some more presence on the map. You know, not great having your Nexus exposed, but, I mean, there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe.
There is. There definitely is now. All of those shutdowns went into their pockets. They kept their Nexus alive. They denied that unbeatable Ocean Soul that you and I were alluding to earlier, Claire. I do think this game still very much is Washed Up Warriors' game to lose. But they could have ended the game there. They just had to hit the Nexus. They were going for Sinja. They were greeting out to try and get the kill. That sort of mental gap there towards the end of the game, maybe trying to play for the mental advantage into the next one. So let's see how they come back from this blunder that they've made here. The CC going to be dodged from Spoobert, gets right out of that aggression from the side of Sprite. And this is definitely going to be their lane of contention, is the top lane. It's the only lane with towers left inside of it. They can also put Juggernaut there to threaten the sort of the back door there on the bot side as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary. I mean, it's kind of rough, right? Going against Juggernaut, right? I mean, Udyr's wave clear is not the worst. It's definitely not the best. Not going full damage, just going full tank. So it's kind of rough to kill the wave in an efficient fashion against Juggernaut on this champ at the moment, or at least with this build. And I'm concerned, right? The Nexus has healed, but just having these waves crash, having these waves just sit back, and you know, so many of them are going to crash, especially with those super minions.
Sinja going to try and go for a kill onto Guilty Free Soul, but it is going to be his own soul that is taken now. 5 versus 4 on the map for Infernal Wolves. Juggernaut is just 1v4 here in the the bot side of the map. They just can't aggress onto him. He has the Death Drum to get out of any kind of situation that he puts himself in, but getting very low, gets so much healing from the Spirit Visage. Again, no healing reduction from the side of Infernal Wolves. It only means the Mordekaiser is not going to die in this play, as this now might be the final nail in the coffin here. Cosmic Radiance utilized from Sprite. They can hit onto the Nexus. It didn't end up mattering in the end from the previous play. And Washed Up Warriors, they take a absolutely massive W for themselves in the first meeting between these two teams.
Yeah, in a extremely dominant fashion there. 27-minute game, Washed Up Warriors taking game 1, and they look dominant the entire game. I mean, yeah, we had Infernal Wolves. They show some life, especially Sinja there in the mid lane, but overall it was a rough time, and they were constantly playing from behind. But like, with what they had going for them, they went for some plays. I think they probably knew it was going to be a rough one from pretty early on. I mean, and they kind of showed up a little bit.
They definitely showed up. They came to play. They said, we don't care about what has already been predetermined in the standings. You guys got the 1-game lead, but that's not a whole lot. And they showed the reason why it's not a whole lot in this one. So now backs against the wall here. Again, not a best of series, but their first place seeding is on the line here. for Infernal Wolves in this next up and coming matchup. The stakes are Washed Up Warriors. They want that first place spot. They don't want to be sitting in second still. Infernal Wolves trying to maintain, trying to hold on to that here in week 6, as this is the second last week and playoffs are approaching. We are going to see how this matchup here between these two teams in its second part ends when we come back from a very short break that we will take. We'll see you very soon. We are back for the second part of Washed Up Warriors versus Inferno Wolves here in week number 6 of Odyssey 2024 Season 2. I'm still Ferris. It's still Claire joining me here for this second matchup. Washed Up Warriors taking game number 1 on the red side. These teams have swapped and are at their full capacity for their rosters. No substitutes in either the last game or this game. And honestly, Claire, was quite the dominating win for Washed Up Warriors. And you and I were talking about the stipulation behind this match. It's a battle for first place. With a win here for either team, this basically just becomes now a best of one for first place.
Yeah, it sure does. And I mean, both these teams wanting to, secure that first place. Both of them already in playoffs, so I mean, not like they have nothing to play for besides that first place position, but I mean, they still got another week, so a lot of things could happen. Um, and this map could completely determine the tiebreaker as well. So, still quite a bit to play for. And to start that off, we got to get into this draft.
And that we have gotten into Infernal Wolves. They kept the Volley Bear and the Yorick ban. And then they have now decided that the Mordekaiser was too much to handle here from Juggernaut. And honestly, rightfully so. Absolutely had his way in the lane phase going up against Spoobert and pretty much ran the side lane. It was such a massive force in the side lane, in the macro sense here for Washed Up Warriors. So that being taken off the board. Syndra, though, as well, they kept the Aurora Band, did the Washed Up Warriors, denying Syndra of that pick. But it was Archery who had problems with the Yone there. And so they take that one off the board as well. Amumu, great team fighting. Zach, great engage. The Hui for Sinja as well, has historically played this champion too. Likes those mages. This time around, going to be keeping it the same similar style of immobile control mage, as it's going to be the run back here for Guilty Free Soul on the Ziggs.
Or it could be Flex mid. Who knows? The double mage matchup? Probably not. It is probably that Hui or the Ziggs heading into the bottom lane, but with the Poppy, which I would have to imagine goes into that support. So that is going to be the bot lane duo for Washed Up Warriors, and it's just just hanging out on those more like tanky, just keeping the team alive supports as we, round out this phase 1 of drafts with a Nautilus.
We do. And the Poppy, again, steadfast presence, good value into the elastic slingshot from the Zac. Also can stop the Nautilus from completely closing the gap there with the dredge line as well. So these are some big implications for the Poppy Infernal Wolves. They don't want Archery's Yone, to taking that one off in the second round of bans. Top lane focus bans towards Spoobert, the Jax, and the Cassante taken off. Where we still don't know here what the top lane matchup will be, as the Poppy, yes, could very likely go into the support role, but as well could still be flexed into the top lane. The Gragas lock in. I have to imagine that's going into the top lane for Juggernaut, unless it's a Zac top as well. So there's still a lot of options in these drafts, but once again, I mean, very overloaded in the magic damage department is the Infernal Wolves. Dr. Mundo gonna be locked in here for Juggernaut. Did such a good job with the Mordekaiser. I feel like the Mundo, very similar, run in a straight line, very beefy, kind of beats the hell out of tanks too. So if this is actually gonna end up being a Zac top, then this Mundo actually might just run this game and loves to build things like Spirit Visage for the healing. It's only RJ's patented Aphelios that is the sole AD for this Infernal Wolves team in game 2.
This is going to be rough for Infernal Wolves. I mean, this is just draft. This Dr. Mundo, depending on how this early lane draft phase goes, this Mundo could absolutely outscale and nobody could kill them. And that's concerning. That's a very concerning little tidbit, as we saw, I think it was last week we saw Mundo. I'm not entirely sure who it was.
I think you're, yes, correct. Yeah, I forget who actually played the Mundo either. But it was. They
were unkillable.
Yeah. So we've seen what Mundo can do in Odyssey. So we might just see that run right back. And again, I'll mention it one more time. It is almost a full magic damage team for Infernal Wolves. And that just puts so much pressure on RJ, who is an Aphelios player, loves this champion. But you might just get exploited here. Look, Claire, look at the dive options from Washed Up Warriors. Amumu, Lissandra, Poppy, Mundo might never die. You have so many people to eat through, so much defensive stats that will be built. But actually, it is a pretty heavy magic damage team too from Washed Up Warriors. So, it might actually be the Zac or Spoobert that are also unkillable. It kind of just comes down to who is able to accumulate that gold, start getting those items. This is a very gold dependent game. You could say that's the case for a lot of games, but some champions actually like experience more so than gold. But this time around, when those items roll through, just because of the concentrated damage, this is just going to be a PowerPoint for both of these teams.
Yeah, but I mean, we got to start off here, and it really does all, take place here in this early game, right? Because this game could be completely turned on its head with just how Infernal Wolves plays this early game, right? Because if they get that massive lead, they can just start snowballing, and then Washed Up Warriors can't really do anything about it. So it is kind of interesting to see. And we do see Spoopert more on Gragas, which does want to be alive, a little bit more poke heavy than the Udyr. Can play a little bit more back, can get out of a little bit more situations, besides just running away. But a great dodge, kick it off, just being able to, jump on in there, and some early fights to kick off the laning phase. But I mean, just nothing that we haven't seen a couple times.
And it was, thank you to the Odyssey Esports admin in the chat making us know that it was Munchman's Dr. Mundo who was absolutely terrorizing our featured matchup in week number 5. So that is what Juggernaut is trying to replicate in week 6, is that excellent Mundo performance, something that we could actually see. It's very possible based on all the things we've talked about before. Guilty Free Souls Ziggs was incredible last game. An incredible performance again would also be very valuable in game 2. Shutting down RJ's Aphelios, meaning that you don't really have to worry about any of this physical damage rolling through from Infernal Wolves. Such an easily exploitable target too, with all of the CC options that you have on your team, as I mentioned earlier. Guilty Free Soul on the Ziggs, with a good performance here in tandem with Sprite on the Poppy, which can find some value here too, will be absolutely insane for Washed Up Warriors, as Juggernaut is not going to be able to start off the Munchman performance here because they have been solo killed by Spoober, a reverse of last game.
I mean, that's the kind of early game aggression Spoobert's been looking for all series, and it does pay off this time. I mean, the flash is used, but I mean, Juggernaut, needing to use that TP now, and it's a 20-7 CS lead for this Gragas in the top lane, and that's absolutely massive. And Infernal Wolves off to a much better start than they were last game, and that's exactly what they needed to see. This confidence, it's building, is brewing a little bit, but I mean, still a lot of game to play.
And both junglers completing their full clears now, and they're gonna probably clear away opposite side Scuttle Crabs and might just take a reset there. So yet to see what they're gonna do with their pathing once they clear away their camps now and head towards their respective scuttles. Guilty Free Soul and Sprite are in position to be ganked, although RJ is still very low, having a hard time into the Ziggs, as we might expect. The engage option counterplay from Ajuka, the Dredge line, the Nautilus, who can catch people out typically to be that answer into the range, is not really an option into Sprite's Poppy if that steadfast presence is timed correctly. We can see Bacon hovering around that mid lane. Gonna wrap around here on the minimap, looking towards the Lysandra here. Archery does have Phaser hovering him, so in goes Bacon, finds the CC. The flash from Archery is going to buy some space. Phaser connects the bandage toss onto Sinja, and both duos, mid-jungle duos that is, backing away from each other.
They are, and Spoobert's still showing a lot of aggression into the top lane. It is kind of working. Guilty Free Soul, though, getting poked out by RJS. Some things happening, and I mean, and Sinja also just trying to get active, but this wave is going to push into tower, and Lysandra is very comfortable being able to dive, but not quite level 6, so going to have a little bit harder of a time, and this wave is dealing so much damage. Was that the Comet to kill? I'm not entirely sure. Could have been, actually, yeah. And Ajuka is absolutely getting active here in this bot lane. This Nautilus is causing quite a bit of a problem, because if you land a hook onto this Ziggs, really, I mean, you can satchel out, but you're kind of put in a rough position, but this Amumu could absolutely turn this fight.
Amumu's gonna go right in. Phaser, the bandage toss is flashed away from RJ, losing that critical summoner spell. They're gonna try and get the wave in and probably get a reset here, as Guilty is out of mana. And remember too, it's Guilty Free Soul who has teleport. So situations like this where you can crash the wave, you can just TP back immediately while RJ has to walk back to the lane, and you can constantly apply more pressure, deny more farm and experience away from the Aphelios. So it gets really hard to play as Spoobert with the combination there. That was absolutely smooth as hell on the Gragas. 2-0 to kick off this game.
Yeah, extremely well played up there in the top lane. Spoobert absolutely turning this around, and yeah, the Mundo isn't having a great time, you know, not CSing super well, but could still be extremely scary later into the game. But, I mean, Spoobert is absolutely making this a much harder thing to do for Juggernauts. And we saw Syndra in the mid lane. Again, you stated in the draft phase, extremely comfortable on these mage champions. So, trying to see, you know, more of a comfort pick against this Lissandra. And it's, you know, looking pretty good.
Archery's found Bacon. As Bacon wants this fight, though. But Syndra does not know that Phaser is here in the brush and now has to deal with the Amumu sitting on top of him. The Frozen Tomb comes through as well. Phaser tanks up that dredge line. The shield from Syndra is good to keep himself alive. They're so close, but they cannot quite grab him down as Juggernaut is here to join the play. Sprite as well. This is the late rotation to the Grubs from Washed Up Warriors. Bacon was able to just take them all to himself. The CC avoided by the passive shield from Juggernaut. And that's going to dissolve that play into no kills for either team. But they're going to try and go on to Archery, who can just get away. But Juka flashes forward for the stun, the Severing Bolt too. It's actually going to miss from the dredge line, but the Spiraling Despair is enough. And Syndra claims kill number 2 for himself. Inferno Wolves, they have the mirrored start here from game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, they are killing it in almost every single one of these lanes. Guilty Free Soul does have the level 6 advantage, though, for the time being. Syndra, though, on extremely low HP. I'm sure just wanting to push out this wave. Right. But Sprite might cause some problems.
Oh, my goodness.
Misses, and Sprite does get the kill. Flash is used as well as Ignite, but it is going to be a Hex Flash, so it'll come up here soon. And, I mean, I guess if you want to land to give over a kill, Hoppy is not the worst person to do it on.
If it's, well, I mean, I was going to say if it's free, you'll take it, but not necessarily free because, like you said, the flash was used, but Sprite wants to get involved here, but Guilty Free Soul has just found the solo kill. RJ, remember, no flash from the gank earlier, cannot escape the Mega Inferno Bomb of Guilty Free Soul Ziggs, who I said had to have a big performance here in Game 2 to pull off this victory. So far, so good for the little man with the bombs, as the depth charge is not going to be underneath the turret, but the Ignite might just be able to take down the Ziggs. Sprite's going to try and finish off this kill. Steadfast Presence to give some movement speed, and both parties will walk away. No kills given as Juggernaut so low here, and Bacon flying across the terrain will secure that one as Spoobert looks much better this time around on the Gragas.
Yeah, killing it. Especially Bacon, you know, some, you know, ganks still coming through. It's, I don't want to say it's necessarily a lot easier to gank on the Zac, but I mean, you can get in there so fast and just cause so many problems, especially into this early game. And, you know, just playing so well around this top lane. Who needs to, you know, get strong? Who needs to stop this Mundo from building a lot of MR? You need to make sure that this Mundo is still killable, you know, 20 minutes into the game and not an absolute, you know, juggernaut. But, I mean, off of that, Washed Up Warriors being able to get the dragon off of their, you know, bot lane, you know, success, so that is going to do them pretty well into the later, you know, ends of this game.
Still overwhelming advantage right now, I believe, for Inferno Wolves. It reflects in the gold. It reflects with the kills that they have onto key targets here. RJ, again, is bound to struggle in this matchup, but keeping in pace here in the farm for the most part, as these minions will walk through the turret, should be able to collect this underneath the tower. Plates will go to Guilty Free Soul, but it's kind of the same situation as game 1, but for different teams. It was Syndra that was so far ahead, the rest of the team falling behind. Now the pressure on Guilty Free Soul, but again, these mages, they have a harder time being in that 1 versus 9 situation, but there's a lot of CC to work with at the very least if you are Washed Up Warriors. So you can take down targets like Syndra if they are very fed, if you utilize your CC nicely as Spoobert. This could have been a mistake. Utilizes the flash to get out, but Juggernaut is going to pop the ghost. He's going to use the cast to bring him even closer. Spoobert, that is not what you wanted to do there, but the damage is insane. The Rylai's is completed. Juggernaut should be able to finish this off and get the shutdown. A critical mistake for Spoobert in the top side.
Yeah, massive shutdown be let onto Juggernaut, and that's a solo kill. You know, just not playing it to the best of the abilities. I think they thought the Demolish would do a little bit more, and Jack is going to get found in the jungle.
Frozen Tomb is available for archery. They're going to use it to cancel the Elastic Slingshot. That's absolutely huge. Keeper's Verdict to knock him up into the passive he goes, but with no friends around, another one for Washed Up Warriors. They catch the jungler, give the kill to Guilty Free Soul. That's exactly what you want. They're clawing their way back into this one by one.
Pick by pick, they're making their gold lead a little bit closer. They're getting a little bit stronger. They're leveling the playing fields. But I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done, especially in that top lane. The first turret to go down. Bot lane is still looking okay. The CS is pretty close, but the Ziggs does have about, you know, 6-ish 100k gold lead. So that's, you know, going to allow them to get that item spike sooner, going to allow them to deal a little bit more damage. And, you know, maybe snowball something off of that. Again, this bot lane presence is going to just be so extremely important, especially if they can continue to stack these dragons. But Spoobert, you know, not phased by dying in the top lane 1v1. Still up here, but Phaser is just hanging out.
They found him. Can they get him? The Curse of the Sad Mummy is good. Spoobert does not have flash. The cast, though, is insane to buy space, and the bandage toss from downtown will be a no bueno there, but Spoobert might just want this fight, and the reason he wants this fight is because Bacon is here to party as well. No, gonna miss on the CC, but I don't think they have the damage to take down the Gragas. Juggernaut is going to be taken out by Sinja, who rolls on through from the mid lane to collect the kill. Severing Bolt finds the slow bandage toss to buy some space for Phaser to waltz on out of this one. The birthday cake on the head. Is it enough to get out? It is not. It is not a birthday. It is a death day for the Amumu. And 2 kills for Infernal Wolves. They get some back.
An extremely well-played spacing from Spoobert, knowing exactly where to run, the rotations from Play, the rotations from Bacon, or, I mean, Sinja, just so fast, and that's exactly what you need to see, especially just, you know, keep this Gragas alive. Don't let this Dr. Mundo get any kills. Don't let this Amumu be involved in any play.
Archery wants this. Frozen Tomb is good, and that's going to be the kill. Over-aggressive because Bacon was here. Can Archery get out here? The Zac doesn't do a ton of damage. The Flash will buy some space. And that's a big pickup there for the Lissandra on the other side of the map. So Spoobert, over-aggressive, and was punished for it.
Yeah, I know those first, especially with these solo laners, those first item power spikes coming into play. We can see the ROA on the Gragas, Lissandra picking up that Malignant Sway, the Blackfire Torch. So some big purchases to come through. And, you know, it's definitely going to shape these up-and-coming fights. You can see this dragon being up in 15 seconds. Guilty Free Soul trying to get that wave being pushed under tower, trying to get this dragon as fast as possible. But look at all of the members from Infernal Wolves just rotating down. They know how important this dragon is, and they know that they are in a more powerful position than Washed Up Warriors.
It is going to be a Infernal Wolves favored fight on paper for sure. They have Spoobert down here as well. So the whole squad is here, primed, ready to go. Juggernaut has teleport. I don't think this is a fight that Washed Up Warriors want to take. They shouldn't care at the very least. This is only the first dragon for Infernal Wolves. They have lots of time to pick themselves back up, get a more favorable fight situation for themselves, and that's exactly what they do. Give it away as maybe Sprite with the Keeper's Verdict going to look for it, but the smite is good from Bacon. And they tried with the Mega Inferno, but they're actually committing the TP as well. Guys, the play was over here. This is a little bit too late for this. But nonetheless, they commit it, and now they have to get back to try and hold that top wave.
Maybe they were looking for the fight, but it just does not go through. And Juggernaut, I feel an active
going the long way around onto Sinja. Flashes right into the Frozen Tomb, but able to trade 1-for-1, but maybe even more. Sinja, are you kidding me? Outplays this somehow. 3 versus 1. Bacon joins the play too. The Elastic Slingshot missing onto Sprite, hiding behind the minions, but the Severing Bolt will sever all the hope Washed Up Warriors had of this play. What a survival there from Sinja.
That was extremely well played from Sinja to evade that dive and still live to tell the tale, but I mean, it's just not going to be great. But the play continues. Phaser getting active, and maybe something can happen here. Guilty Free Soul just chasing down this bot lane duo from Inferno Soul, but I think they're just going to be a little bit too fast, going to get out of there. The flash is used, but again, it's a Hex Flash, and RJS just not needing to use anything, but Spoopert still wanting to fight, and I'm not entirely sure you win this anymore.
Well, he does his damage in sort of bursts, and Gragas really likes these extended trades, but not when it's 2 versus 1. And that's what it's going to be right now as Archery joins the play, has Frozen Tomb, waiting to use it. Spooper getting some healing there from the happy hour. Juggernaut gets flashed on with the body slam, but misses the cast that would have sealed the deal there. And Archery should grab that one for themselves. Still, the game state great for Infernal Wolves. They continue to pick off Spoobert, though, here in the side lane. Sinja now has to be careful. They're going on him again. This is part 2. Sinja does not have flash this time. Heroic charge from Sprite will bring him back. They should be able to grab this one here. Ajuka trying to save his mid laner. The Mega Infernal Bomb comes down. It's completely mitigated by the shield. Sinja buys some space with the fears. He looks like he's going to walk out of this one again. And the counter punch from Infernal Wolves might just be enough to find them some kills. Though it's going to be the Heroic charge to stun up Bacon, who flashes out. Does he have the passive to keep himself alive? He does. Sprite channeling the Keeper's Verdict to knock Ajuka away. Their prize will be the Zac, and that will be the full retreat from the Infernal Wolves support mid. They don't get Sinja, but they get one in the very least.
They do find Bacon, but Ajuka is still wanting to continue this fight. I'm just not entirely sure who can back this up, and I think you're just going to go down maybe a little bit too creative. I mean, yeah, we did just see Spoobert arrive, and Spoobert is absolutely massive with that Lich Bane purchase, but it's just not going to happen, and they should get their hands into this Rift Herald, but I mean, Spoobert is absolutely feeling it.
Guilty Free Soul lost half his HP from that combination there. It wasn't even a full combination from Spoobert either. Yeah, Lich Bane Gragas. This is not something you see every day, as flashed away from RJ from Archery, but this just leaves the Gragas to fall here again. Not very tanky is the Fat Man, because it's the full glass cannon build. And so they grab that pick. They're grabbing the Rift Herald as well here, Claire. They're mounting a very small comeback here with these chain of plays. So we might be in for quite the banger of a matchup here with a lot riding on this game.
For sure. I think Infernal Wolves, they do know they're stronger, but, not necessarily needing to take a lot of these fights. Boober getting active in times where maybe it's not the greatest. So gonna need to, tone that back a little bit, but I mean, still, they're in a great position to, win this game. We see way up into the top lane, just gonna be free farming 5 and 1, just trying to get their hands on the second item and wanting to survive. So building those merc treads. I mean, so is this Gragas, just not gonna be full AP, but still gonna absolutely have so much damage to be done. And, I am getting a little bit concerned, right? Because this Dr. Mundo, yeah, they haven't had the greatest performance in the first 18 minutes of the game, but I mean, they're still going to be a pain for these mages to kill. We haven't really seen the Aphelios into the fight with this Dr. Mundo, but it's still going to be an issue for Infernal Wolves.
And I wonder if enough peel, speaking of this Aphelios, or enough space or peel, in whichever form it comes from, to keep this Aphelios safe, especially with no flash and all the CC that Washed Up Warriors have to lock him down. Is there ever going to be a chance for RJ to have enough space to become a threat in these fights? We haven't seen it yet. Has been quietly building up. Swifty Boots is going to knock down a lot of the DPS potential of the Aphelios, but might be able to utilize that extra movement speed to avoid situations where he is in danger. As now the healing is going to be used from Juggernaut to try and get out of this situation. Sprite is here to defend his top laner. They had the damage earlier in the game. They don't really have it anymore. And it's only the Spectre's Cowl in the inventory building into that Spirit Visage. So it's going to get even worse. And we sort of foreshadowed this in the draft, as now they summon up the Rift Herald. The Satchel might just be able to take down the tower. Maybe it wasn't down to enough HP. The Guilty Free Soul, again, 4-0 on the Ziggs. Big game from them. Now stacked the Seraphs as well. They found Juggernaut. No Flash Claire on this Mundo. Has found himself in a pretty scary position now, and should just drop. They're going to trade the tier 1. They're actually going to get RJ on the other side. So the ADC's ditch. Hey, brother. ADC main to ADC main. I feel you. It's rough out here. Sometimes they just don't care about us. And he's going to be the trade as... Well, I'm anticipating an engagement here. They're staring each other down. I'm waiting for the bandage toss. Curseless Admiral not available, though. So this is ultimates here that aren't really going to be able to be used in this fight. Big ultimates for Washed Up Warriors. They're staring each other down. They things are going to break out. Things are going to happen soon.
Well, things are going to happen soon. They do want to fight over this dragon. It seems they want to make something happen, but I don't know if Washed Up Warriors can fight without Dr. Mundo just to be able to engage the fight. I mean, Amumu could, but you could immediately just get locked down, and a lot of ults still in the hands of Infernal Wolves. Gragas can make a massive play here still and make something happen, and a lot of damage onto Phaser there.
The cask is absolutely massive. Sprite uses the Steadfast Presence to buy him some space, flashes away from the play. Sinja is going to be able to kill off the Lissandra. Severing Bolt is going to be good onto Phaser. Bacon joins the play as well. Juggernaut has to run for the hills because this fight is all Infernal Wolves around this Cloud Drag. And it will be theirs to claim. Again, yeah, key ultimates, like you said, Claire, not available. Guilty is going to look for something. Going to find some poke. They're actually really low HP bars. RJ is low. Ajuka is low. This minefield is dangerous. Bacon should be healthy enough, though, to find the smite. And Infernal Wolves, they get a much-needed punch back, but that's a bomb that's going to land. Ajuka is so very low. The smite comes through. Bacon should be able to run this one out.
I'm curious. I mean, Guilty Free Soul still having that ult available. I guess just no vision to feel comfortable throwing it out. And that makes sense. Juggernaut, no, just trying to chase down Spoober, but will just be able to eat over the wall and get right out of there. And I mean, Infernal Wolves is incredibly strong, but I mean, I feel like I still feel like Washed Up Warriors could come back into this game just given a team fight. Just given a team fight that they feel comfortable, and they've been able to make this Aphelios feel extremely uncomfortable, and I just don't know if they'll be able to kill this Dr. Mundo without them, or at least in a timely manner.
Waiting for that key Spirit Visage to come through. It's got to be close, right? I mean, this Mundo is very unaccelerated in this game. It doesn't have a lot of farm in the pocket, not many kills. So that should come through soon, but it's a little bit delayed. And now the Lissandra, that's a lot of damage that Spoobert's dealing. You're in quite the difficult spot. Archery going to drop in the side lane. Spoobert going to grab that kill, courtesy of Ajuka setting that one up for the squad. Finding that nice flank, buying them some more time on the map. It does feel like Infernal Wolves, yes, they have the gold lead. They are very much in control of this game still. They have the general presence around the map. They're getting the wards down in control of the side lanes. So the counter punch, though, like you were talking about, Claire, is definitely very real for Washed Up Warriors. And they definitely have the tools to come back in this one. Leverage Guilty Free Soul, leverage their combos. But look at the magic resist items rolling through as well from Bacon and the Merc Treads as well from Sinja and Spoobert. These are also parts of the side of Infernal Wolves that are going to be problematic for Washed Up Warriors because they don't have an Aphelios to deal physical damage. So we've been talking so much about this Mundo, but they don't have any physical damage aside from Sprite, and that is certainly not going to be enough.
Yeah, no, you're entirely correct. And Ajuka just, making some space, just putting themselves on the line, but it could turn the fight.
This is going to be huge. Phaser drops the Curse of the Sad Mummy and will drop to Bacon, so it's actually going to be the engage from Washed Up Warriors thrown right back into their faces.
Yeah, and just this Nautilus putting themselves on the line, and they really don't take very much damage, especially with the shield. Just being able to activate that, a massive shield comes through. And Sprite hanging out in this bush, but still will just be warded and should just be fine. And Juggernaut, very healthy, but the TPs come through. The fight, they want to turn it.
Well, Spoobert uses Flash. Now Bacon is isolated here. The Elastic Slingshot will be canceled by the heroic charge of Sprite. And they will put the Zac into the passive here. Now, can the rest of the team save them? Sinja is here. Spoobert waiting over the wall to get involved in this play as well. Look at the Spiraling Despair plus the Moonlight Vigil. That's the combo that Infernal needed, but the Mega Inferno Bomb is good from Guilty to trade one back. The Fear from Sinja will not land, using the movement speed to try and close the gap onto the Ziggs. Phaser has joined the party as well, does not have Curse of the Sad Mummy. This is RJ's time to carry the fight. He has enough space to deal the damage. Him and Sinja are doing what it takes to keep that first place position for the Infernal Wolves intact, and they head to the Baron after the team fight win.
An extremely nice combo from Inferno Wolves to keep, not only to kill a bunch of the Washed Up Warriors members, but to also keep the Zac alive, to continue the play, to continue that aggression, and it's going to pay off. You can see they're up at a 9k gold lead now, getting the Baron, going to have that pressure, and going to be able to open up the map even more so than they just did. They have Dragon up in 1:15, going to set themselves up into a real nice position, and Washed Up Warriors, how do you engage into these fights? I'm just not entirely sure anymore. That Amumu, I think going first item Leandres has really, set them back in some cases. It just has not allowed them to, make space, peel for the team, set up this Lissandra, you know, get people down for the Ziggs to, get some damage, and it's, made things a little bit more challenging than maybe they needed it to be.
The only real opportunity for Washed Up Warriors in this game now is to find Sinja or RJ, or in an even better situation, both of them caught out enough so that a layer of damage can come through. They can layer their CC, Curse of the Sad Mummy, Frozen Tomb to take them out so that their lack of damage when it comes to trying to eat through Bacon and even Spoobert now on the Merc Treads doesn't end up being something that is their detriment. A lot of magic resist coming through from Ajuka as well. But the problem is RJ and Sinja are definitely going to be conscious of the tools that Washed Up Warriors have to take them out. So if they are comfortable in the backside, there's really no way with the deficits that Washed Up Warriors have and the concentrated damage that they have as well to find success in these fights.
Gosh.
Uber just absolutely wrecks Juggernaut's HP bar now with the Void Staff completed, does so much damage, but has a lot of people to deal with here. Can he trade one back? Juggernaut is low. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case. His life is traded for the Dragon, although I think that's still a win in your book if you're Washed Up Warriors, as I don't think that play or that death actually had to come through. The tier 2 will be the response, though, as well.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a trade that Infernal Wolves is going to be happy to make, right? I mean, they have a 12k gold lead. They've expanded it by 3k in the past maybe 3 minutes. So they are absolutely happy with that. I mean, Spoobert giving over quite a big shutdown, but I just don't think it's really going to matter as much as, the pressure that Infernal Wolves is getting throughout the map. And, this next team fight, if it even is a team fight or if someone gets picked off, is absolutely going to change the rest of this game. This was around the time that Washed Up Warriors has taken game 1, so Infernal Wolves, needing to break through a little bit, but I mean, even then, we saw just how much damage this Gragas is going to do to Juggernaut. Hitting that Void Staff, going to be kind of ignoring quite a bit of that magic resistance that's Wash Up Warriors, all of the members are building now, just because of how powerful this Gragas and this Way are. So it's, a little bit rough now. The itemization from Washed Up Warriors is, it's hard. It's hard to choose what they need to do. They could either get more damage or they could try to, just survive for a little bit longer. But I mean, being 12k gold down, none of it's really an easy decision.
And now with every single tier 2 and above tower gone from Washed Up Warriors base, or at least their side of the map, they have to try and make their last defense on their inhibitor towers. And it might be Infernal Wolves who are a little conscious of sieging because of, again, that large amount of CC and turn ability that Washed Up Warriors have. They have a pretty big wombo combo, and they want to be able to keep their carry safe. But now is the time to really lay on the pressure. They're very vulnerable in an instance of a side lane with one person, but as a team, I feel like there's enough peel from Infernal Wolves to really brute force down this base. They have so much gold. They're 12,000 gold in the lead. Okay, what am I even saying? Why am I even being skeptical about this? Just brute force this base down. That should be the mindset here from Infernal Wolves. This is an insane gold lead that they have. They are so much stronger in this game. And they're really just playing it the long way. Maybe just waiting out for the soul. But they want to make sure that they don't make any mistakes to throw away this game. But maybe, Claire, their mistake might end just being not ending, or at least threading the needle when the opportunity is best.
Yeah, no, the solo laners both 2 levels up. I can only imagine, thousands of gold ahead of their counterparts, and very comfortable to finish this game, but I think they're just happy to play around these neutral objectives. Just play the slow game, just continue to farm out these side lanes, continue to farm out the jungle, just slowly get stronger. And look how much damage Spoober does to Dr. Mundo.
Just the Void Staff.
Yeah.
And the healing reduction. That's insane.
It's brutal, actually. And, Gragas is not the monster I thought is the monster that I didn't think he was going to be this game. But Juggernaut, with the healing.
Definitely looks so much more comfortable on the Gragas this time around. They're playing for the Baron. Okay. So it's 53 seconds on the Baron. They're definitely going to take it. If it is washed up Warriors who want the fight, probably not going to be them who win, especially when they don't have the priority and they have to be walking into the potential meat grinder of Inferno Wolves, Moonlight Vigil, plus any knockups on Bacon's Elastic Slingshot, Spiraling Despair from Sinja. All of these abilities are going to do massive damage. So I don't fancy the washed up Warrior situation right now. It really does feel like a slow bleed here. They're slowly dying out. Ever so closer is Inferno Wolves inching towards this win. It might just peak around this Baron because look at the posture from the washed up Warriors team. They're making their way over to the Baron. Let's look at Spoobert and Juggernaut. I mean, we know how this is going to go. The healing's now used from Juggernaut. Spoobert is losing some HP. This actually might go the way of Juggernaut if Spoobert isn't careful. And actually, the ultimate actually wasn't used until now. So Spoobert buying some space with the body slams. But this is going to be, again, the big play around the Baron in the next couple seconds. Is that might just start it off here. Is that hook onto Guilty Free Soul. Phaser just dies instantaneously to RJ, who rips his HP to shreds. Guilty has no escape now. The Ignite is dropping. It's going to be the flash forward from RJ to secure this kill. 2 people dead. They're going to get the Baron. And this might just be the last Baron of the game and the beginning of the end for Washed Up Warriors.
Yeah, it's not looking great. And you can see Spoobert down there on the Dragon just wanting to get both objectives at the same time. But Lissandra is going to be attacking it as well as, you know, Poppy. So it is just going to be Spoobert just to fall off. Maybe, you know, TP back in once they have the opportunity and the rotation from the rest of the team coming down. But maybe this is a pick that they can get. The flash comes through, but the flash from Spoobert in advance in the ult, you know, to slow it down, to get the kill, finding a pick, and, you know, maybe they can turn this fight. Maybe they can have an advantage. Guilty Free Soul is going to be up. The TP is able to use that, so a ward would need to go down, but the engage already comes through.
Now they've already used Frozen Tomb, so this shouldn't be a contest. They're using TP. All right, Infernal Wolves. We got 14,000 gold of a lead. They got Baron. They got Soul. Certainly we don't wait for the Elder to end this one. This is looking like it's wraps here for Washed Up Warriors. Everyone that's been watching this game, you and I, Claire, we're just waiting for that reckoning to happen. I feel like it's unavoidable at this point. There's QSS now for RJ. Even if that CC lands now, it can just be completely negated. And it looks pretty chalked. I'm not going to lie. I mean, there really isn't much else to say. We got to see this final fight come through. And the base hasn't even been cracked yet, but I feel like once it does, it's gonna be over.
Yeah, and this gold lead is only getting larger as time goes on. Unfortunately, it's not gonna be getting any closer. And I mean, they have everything they could need, and I can tell Infernal Wolves, not that they're likely to lose a fight around the Elder, but I mean, it's just not a variable they would like to put into the formula real fast. So just, you know, wanting to run this base down, but I mean, they've been very reluctant to doing so.
I know. You said it, Mango. Look at Mango in the chat. They're still farming. I know. It's Bacon over here doing the blue. Like, guys, when are we ending this game here?
You are so much stronger. You just jump on top of everybody.
Hey, they want that first place. We can respect it, though. I mean, I guess, because like, it's in front of you, right? Like, okay, we running out of analysis here, guys. You just gotta go for it at some point. They got the Baron. What else do we need here? They're looking for this fight. They're really respecting, I'm gonna say it again and again, they're really respecting maybe the off chance that through QSS they get onto the Aphelios, they kill the Aphelios, and they also get onto Sinja. Spoobert's running this side lane. Spoobert's comfortable as comfortable can get.
It's so much damage, though.
I know, it's crazy.
It's so much damage, not letting the Warmogs get online, not letting that healing get online, but Juggernaut can just run away, get that healing up. But, I mean, they're just allowing this turret to go down, allowing this, you know, Baron-enhanced minions to do a lot of the work, and Spoobert's still on that side lane. Juggernaut does have the ult now, just hanging out, just hanging around, but Spoobert is just here to stay. Not afraid of anything, but you just want to eat, you want to dive into this tower, I can tell, and you do deal so much damage, but you're just going to have to leave, you're going to have to back off. Oh my gosh, a sliver of HP.
It's not worth it, my friend. Bacon's channeling that slingshot ready to go. They're still holding on to this base somehow. It's got to collapse soon here, Claire. It's gonna happen. I'm trying to manifest this here for the side of Infernal Wolves. It's getting close. I feel like they could just send it, right? They could just throw people at them and just
I feel like they would just
get
like
them.
5v5, right?
Well, Sinja, it might just be washed up warriors to start up their own demises. Sinja's in trouble, and Juggernaut is going to try and bring him down, but now the reinforcements are here. Spiraling Despair should be enough. Okay, 5 versus 4 now. You should be able to bait this. Start this one off here, Ajuka. Get that dredge line going. Come on. There it is. Oh, it hits the cannon minion instead. As Sprite wants some of it, heroic charge into the wall. This should signal the beginning of the end. RG's going to back away after using that gravitum. They pop some inhibitors, Claire. They're doing it now. Triple inhib down. They don't have the Baron anymore. Phaser's going to drop in the middle of the bandage toss. And the death timers are very long. The hook onto the Lysandra before she can even get into the frozen tomb. It's now all but over. They took their time, but they made sure that they secured the first place position here in Odyssey 2024 Season 2. Did Inferno Wolves. 1-1 was the matchup between these two, but the standings will remain the same.
Yes, they will, and Inferno Wolves finally finding their fight and finally cracking open the base just to end it extremely fast, not needing to wait for any more neutral objectives to pop up. And I mean, we saw game 1, it was all washed up warriors, but Inferno Wolves, learning from their mistakes and figuring out exactly what they needed to do in this second game. And I mean, that's what we can expect, and what we can expect from almost all of these teams in playoffs as we head soon to a BO3 format.
Soon to be. And washed up warriors, like you said, Claire, they absolutely dominated game number 1. And as slow, 36 minutes was the final time here for game number 2. So on paper, if you just looked at the time, you would think, okay, pretty solid matchup between these two. That was not close. That was pretty dominance through and through. 20k gold lead to finish it out there from Infernal Wolves. It just took them a little bit longer, but it was a stomp for washed up warriors, a stomp for Infernal Wolves. Again, gonna reiterate what Claire and I said at the beginning of the night was this is a matchup that we might see going into the future. Best of 3s going forward, like Claire said, even if we get to the grand final between our top 2 teams here, we get into a best of 5 format. Something to look forward to, as the matchups here were pretty exciting, and that is going to close out the week number 6 for Odyssey 2024 Season 2. So thank you to everyone who ended up tuning in to watch the stream. Thanks to Drubert once again running the production there from behind the scenes. I'm Ferris, that was Claire, and we will see you for week number 7, the final week of regular season before playoffs. Take care.